Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Language Arts Gallery. Today, we're going to continue with day three of writing an informational text, and we're going to talk about revising and editing our first draft of our research report. Now, we've been working on a research report on famous landmarks. So, in our last lesson, we drafted, and now we're going to go to the phase of the writing process that follows drafting, which is revising and editing. Now, remember, when we edit, we want to make everything perfect, our spelling, our grammar, our punctuation. And we said that we're not concerned with that initially. What I always do is I want to have my students get their ideas down on paper. I think this is especially important with multilingual learners because very often they stress out over, oh, is this the right sentence structure? Am I choosing the right word? Get your ideas down on paper, and then we can work to make it better. So, now that they've drafted something, and we're going to take a look at what we did last class. This is our mentor text. I said that I was writing on the Statue of Liberty. This is really just a good paragraph, a well-developed paragraph. I've got an opening sentence. I've got three big ideas related to the Statue of Liberty, and then I've got a closing sentence. But this is not a research report. It's not an essay or an informational text, especially for students at the third or fourth grade level. So what I want to do here is I want to expand this. And this is a great tool that I think a lot of good young writers use is they take a fully developed paragraph and they learn to kind of stretch it out, kind of expand it and make it into a well-developed essay. So let's look at how we can develop those three big ideas within that paragraph. So we said we talked about what our landmark looks like, where it's located, and whatever it is that makes it special or famous. Now we want to further develop these. Now, for the Statue of Liberty, I said, what does it look like? Well, it's a tall green statue, and she's holding a torch in her hand. It's in New York City, and it's located on Liberty Island. And why is this so famous or special? It's special because it's a symbol of freedom, and it was a gift from France to the United States. Now, I want to add to these three ideas. So, what do I do? Where can I go and get this information? Well, let's remember that we organized our information in our first lesson. We brainstormed and we created these three sections related to our three big ideas. I want students to go back to this graphic organizer. Hopefully, they've got more than just the ideas that they've put in their paragraph. They can draw from this to enrich and to add to those ideas that are in their paragraph. Now, if you've got students who simply found one thing for each of those topics and that's all the information that they have, that's okay. They're going to need to go back further in the research process and they're going to need to go back to the data gathering phase. So, where do we gather information? Well, we can look online. We said we can go to the library, ask a teacher, or we can read either a book, a newspaper, or a magazine. So let's look at each of these three ideas that we're going to develop. Okay, our first is what the Statue of Liberty looks like. I want to try to add two or three more sentences to this big idea. Ultimately, I want at least three sentences in a paragraph, or would be great. So I said the Statue of Liberty is a tall green statue. You know what? I'm going to change this. I want a word that's better than tall. I want something that's more descriptive. So I'm going to say towering. And now I'm going to add detail so my audience knows how tall this is. What is it that makes it appear towering? Well, it stands over 305 feet tall. She holds a torch in her hand. Well, yeah, she does, but that's not the only thing she holds. She holds a torch in one hand and a book in the other. Now, if you've got some writers who want to add even more detail, we can say, well, what are these significant of? What do they mean? What does the book say? And she has a crown with seven spikes that stand for the seven continents and seven seas. So I think that's really well developed, gives a lot of extra information. If I had a student that said she has a crown with seven spikes, I would think that's terrific, but this goes even a step further. Then I want to go to my next idea here. Okay, where is this located? It's located in New York City and it's located on Liberty Island. Liberty Island is located in New York Harbor. I think anyone who's traveled to the Statue of Liberty and taken that ferry ride will be familiar with this. So you might have kids that have that experience or that background knowledge. It's a short ferry ride from Ellis Island. Now, this is really great. Remember, we said we can weave this in with our social studies curriculum or with whatever reading workshop stories we're doing. This is where most immigrants entered America until 1943. These people would pass by Lady Liberty as they entered America. So again, that works really well with whatever story you're covering in reading workshop related to immigration or Ellis Island or the Statue of Liberty. And finally, why is this famous or special? Well, this is special because it's a symbol of freedom and it was a gift from France to the United States. It was originally given to honor the American Revolution and the end of slavery. For new immigrants entering America, the statue represented hope. So I'm going to take all of those revised body paragraphs and I'm going to add them to a new mentor text. Okay, so here I've got a very, very short introduction. The Statue of Liberty is a well-known landmark. It's famous all around the world. Its appearance, location, and unique history all make it a special landmark. So in our next lesson, I'm going to go into more detail about our introduction and our conclusion and what that should include. I've got those body paragraphs that we just worked on. And then my concluding paragraph says, in conclusion, the Statue of Liberty is more than just a statue. It has a very unique appearance, is located in an important place, and represents freedom and hope. It's truly a special landmark. Now I can go into in my next lesson more detail about what exactly a good conclusion should include. Okay, so remember, we said that we wanted to include those three big ideas in our first draft, but ultimately we want to expand this and build it out into an essay. So each of those topics should have its own paragraph. And I've got that visually displayed here. Then students can go back to their seat and they can work through this graphic organizer or template, which helps them to add to those three big ideas that they developed in our first two lessons. Okay, so they'll go back to their seat and then they will come back to the carpet and have an opportunity to share. And I usually ask students to share one body paragraph. That's one big idea that they took from their first draft and expanded upon. And if you've got time or you've got a really small group, you can ask your students to read the entirety of their research report. So thank you so much for watching. You can find this and all my academic writing materials in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, which is linked in the video description. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in our next video.